Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mario Armstrong. Thank you so much for joining our live webinar brought to you on the Spreecast platform. We love this platform. I'm a big fan of Spreecast. Today's webinar is going to be all about trying to help you guys deal with this government shutdown issue, but use this negative time as a positive time to be able to really figure out how you can better pursue your passions, how you can start to build a business, and how we can start to take control more of our destiny. So I'm going to get started in just a couple of seconds. I want to do some housekeeping things first. On the platform, as you'll see, there's ability to chat. So I want you guys to go ahead and chat it up. Make sure that the chat's working. So if you could just go ahead and say good morning or good afternoon, or you're here. Just want to make sure that everybody is using the chat and that that's working fine for you as well. Also, you will also have the ability to be seen on camera. So if you have a webcam on your computer and you would like to be, and you have a question when we do questions later, and there's going to be some exercises that I'm going to actually have you do during this process, and I might want to see some proof. So I'm going to want you to show me some of your work. So I can easily put you on camera if you click the button to be seen on camera, and we can bring you in. Before I get started, though, I wanted to say a special thanks to everybody that's been tweeting this out, that's been pushing this on Facebook. A lot of you have been affected by this government shutdown, and many of you that may not have been personally affected know someone that has. I have family members that are trying to figure out where their next paycheck is coming from, and I have plenty of friends that work for the government. I'm based in Baltimore, between Baltimore and New York, so a lot of ties to people that are in DC, which obviously a lot of government jobs. So I just thought that this would be a great opportunity for all of us to try to flip this into a positive and do something proactive with this downtime that some of you may have. But outside of those of you that are affected or work for the government or have this now downtime, if you will, this is also a seminar just for those of you that are just interested in pursuing your dreams. You're tired of working for someone else. Being unstable is like the new stable right now. It's really hard to have a lot of stability these days. So if you're tired of working for someone else, if you're not satisfied with the career track that you're on right now, and if you have a sense of a passion or a purpose or something that you want to get done or you want to do, but you don't know the right steps or haven't been able to take the right steps to fulfill that passion or to build that business, that's what this webinar is all about. So over the course of this webinar, I hope that we get to cover 3 specific things. 1, helping you better identify exactly what your passion is. If you don't know what that is, we're going to go through an exercise to help you identify that. 2, how do you actually build your brand? One of the things that you can do on this downtime is start to really build awareness of others and make others aware of what your skill sets are and what your passion is and what your expertise is. And then the third thing, of course, is how you're going to make money doing, pursuing your passion. Like, how do you actually monetize? How do you actually make money going after your passion? So the webinar is only 30 minutes. We're going to cut sharp at 12:30. I don't want it to linger on. I want to get right into the meat and give you some tips. I want to get right into your questions as well. Some of you may be wondering what makes me valid to host a webinar like this. Quick background on myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always had the entrepreneurial feel, have worked in several corporate jobs, have worked in government jobs. So I've worked for the mayor, I've worked for other businesses, but I've always wanted to pursue my passion, and I knew that was outside of that corporate or that government job. And I'm a firm believer in you can control a lot of your own destiny just by changing some of your actions. So I've also almost been bankrupt. Our company was born 3 months before the recession hit, which is probably the worst time in the world to develop a business. So in 2008, I was going to Coinstar machines in grocery stores, literally taking change and putting that into the Coinstar machine so I could get gas to get me from point A to point B. And we were robbing Peter to pay Paul. In fact, I have an image right here. Let me add this to the screen so that you can actually see. Hopefully you guys will be able to actually see this. But essentially what it's showing you is we had 4 different accounts. We were doing well. My wife and I were both working. We were both making significant income. We were doing good. We had savings. We had my child's savings account. We had tuition savings for him. We had a whole bunch of things going on. We had 4 accounts. We decided to launch the business, had some money to save. That money started quickly dwindling because of the recession and no business opportunities were being developed. And we found ourselves up against the wall, basically about to hit bankrupt. We cashed out all of the 401k. 401k was gone. We wiped that all out. We maxed out every credit card that we had. So now our debt was sky high. And as you can see, we were negative in our balance. We only had, I don't know, 30 or so bucks completely in our bank account. So I know this may not be the rock bottom for other people, and I understand that. I know other people may have hit much more harder rock bottom maybe than that, but to us, that was our hardest rock bottom. And we stayed committed to building the business. Now we have 6 team members. We're on major national networks with contracts with NBC's Today Show, CNN, Fuse, NPR. Our company has contracts with these major national organizations. And we're working on licensing deals. We're working on a book deal, and we have a couple of apps, a lot of stuff that's coming out over the next year or so. So anyway, enough said about my background. I just wanted to let you know I actually understand some of the pain that some of you may be going through. And when it's not rosy, how do you continue to just decide to move forward? So let's jump right into this. I want to go right into the live chat, make sure everybody's here. Thanks, Chip. I do appreciate that. And Chip says, I know Mario and he's the real deal. His story is so inspiring. I appreciate that. In fact, we have a copy of our story. I'll send that link out. Shai, if you can put that link, the Power Couple link, into the chat room, people can read that at a later date. But let's jump right into this webinar. The first thing I want to do is have you all, I'm big into meditation. My wife got me into this. She knows that I needed it. She really pushed for me to get this going like this. By the way, she's the CEO of this company. It was just a hobby for me until she came in and really built the business. I'm just the face of the business, but she's the one that actually has made it profitable and made it successful. Well, the tag team, but without her, it still would be a hobby, no doubt. First things first, I want you guys to set up your mindset right now. I want you to forget about your worries. I want you to forget about where your next paycheck is coming from. I want you to forget about the fact that you have to pick up your kids, that I want you to forget about any limitations that you already put in your mind, why you can't do something, why you haven't pursued a particular track, why you haven't turned that hobby into an actual business. I want you to remove all the limitations. Just let it go for a second. Just close your eyes, let all the limitations go, because I need a clean slate. In order for you to adopt these tips, these strategies that I'm going to share with you, I need a clean slate from you. So wipe that slate clean. First things first, let's go right into this. Number one, you have to be able to identify your passions in order to know how to pursue them. So show of hands, how many of you actually know what you're passionate about? If you know what you're passionate about, put it in the chat room. I want to see your top 3 passions. And if you don't know what you're passionate about, this is the first step. Number 1, I'm going to give you a couple of quick ideas on how you can identify your passion. First thing is, think about what, I know people say this all the time, it's kind of cliche, but what would you be willing to do for free? Like seriously, what would you do for free? Some of you are already doing it. Some of you are consulting, you're helping maybe family and friends, you're doing certain things maybe with your kids. Like, what would you do for free? Like, think about that. If that doesn't inspire you, I have 4 more to go. Number 2, if you go into the magazine aisle or if you go into a bookstore, what do you gravitate to? What topics do you gravitate to? Do you go to the automotive section? Do you go to fashion? Do you go to the money magazines? Do you go to celebrity magazines? Like, where do you go? If you're online, what sites do you go to online? Like, what do you read about all day? Or what could you read, study, learn about all day? Is it the cooking section? Like, really think about, where do you go? What automatically, without you even thinking, is an interest area of yours? If that doesn't help you figure out what your passion might be, then try this one on. What pisses you off? What makes you extremely mad? What gets under your skin that drives you crazy? A lot of times, if you can find out what makes you angry, or what gets you upset, or what you seem to always have an opinion about, that too could be a sign of a particular area of a passion that you may have. If that doesn't do it for you, think about, number 4 would be, think about the demographic that you connect to. Let's say, for example, you walk into a gathering or a birthday party. Let's say it's a kid's birthday party. Are you the type of person that wants to be in the background and kind of not be seen? Are you the type of person that likes to be in the foreground and likes to make everyone feel like they're having a great time, or at least you're trying to make everyone feel like they're having a great time? You want to insert yourself and be assertive. Or are you hanging with adults? Or are you the person that's like, I'm having more fun hanging out, talking to, and hanging out with the kids? Like, who's your demographic that you are comfortable with connecting to? That can also help you try to figure out, well, what are some of their interests and what are my interests, and do they intersect? Is there a passion I could be pursuing there? And then last but not least, this is the fallback option. If none of these have worked for you, if you don't know what you would be willing to do for free, if you don't know, if you haven't walked through the magazine aisle and don't know exactly what interests you from magazines or books or websites that you go to, if you haven't figured out what pisses you off, and if you don't know exactly who your demographic is, the last fallback option is, what would you absolutely regret never doing? From an entrepreneurial perspective, or just from pursuing your passion perspective, what would you regret not doing? That alone should be the last thing that should be able to give you a sense of what your passion is. So that's the first thing. Identify the passion. So I've given you 5 steps right now on ways that you can think about how you can now identify your passion. Now what I need you to do is make sure you've written down. I want you to write on a sheet of paper. You're going to do this with me right now. Grab a pen, grab a sheet of paper. I want you to write down at least 1, if not 2 or 3 of those specific passions. What do you know what they are? Write them down. I know that you put them in. I know I've asked you to put them in the chat room, but I need you to write them down. There's a reason why I'm asking you to write these things down. So write those down, and then I'm going to probably pull a couple of you on camera to prove that you're writing them down. I want to find out if you've identified your passions. All right, now I want to move on to having you understand how you can hopefully monetize that passion. And before I do that, I'm going to let me make sure, because we have my lawyer that's going to be joining us really quickly, because starting a business, absolutely you need 2 things. Well, you need a lot of things, but you need 2 good things. One hell of a lawyer. One hell of a lawyer. At a certain point, you may not need it right away, but that's what we're going to find out from our lawyer, from Mike, exactly when do we need a lawyer. And also, how do you know where to find a legit one? Because you have to set up this business. You have to get the right formation of your company. Once you figure out exactly what you want to pursue, maybe you have a product, maybe you have a patent that you would like to pursue, or an idea that you would like to patent. You need to have some protection, legal protection, if you're serious about building a business. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Mike Oliver, my lawyer from Oliver Grimsley, and let's put him on the screen. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mary, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. First off, I want to say, are you charging me for this? Just kidding, just kidding. We're trying to help people out. Mike's a lawyer at Oliver Grimsley. It's his firm. Mike, we're trying to help viewers out and people understand when do they know they need a lawyer? Like, when do you advise people that are trying to get their startup going when they actually need a lawyer, and how can they find a legit one?
Right. So if you're starting out and it's going to be you alone, a single owner of a company, um, you may not need a lawyer right away, depending on what you're doing, and you might want to check sites like LegalZoom. Actually is a pretty good resource for new companies. They have a lot of articles there. There's a site called nolopress.com, which writes books for do-it-yourself assistants, and they're very good books. Lawyers actually use some of those books. So those are two things to think about. And then places to go to actually ask questions would be, probably the best one is Avvo, AVVO.com, which is a site that really markets heavily to lawyers. So they try to get money out of us to answer your questions, but usually they're pretty good about, so if you have a question about a business you're starting, like for example, do I need a lawyer? You can ask a question on avvo.com and 5-10 lawyers will answer the question, sometimes differently. You're never going to get the same answer from the same lawyer or from different lawyers. And those are good places to go to think about it. And finally, in terms of when you need a lawyer, the one error I see a fair amount, and I do intellectual property law primarily. So if you're in a field where you're going to be generating copyrights, software, creating websites, hiring somebody to create something for you, a designer, in all of those scenarios, you do need a contract. And you're probably going to want a lawyer at some point, because if you're not careful, you'll build your business, somebody will have created a website or a service for you, and you won't own it. And that's the biggest error I see.
Painful. That's, I mean, just prior to this session, we were just having an intense phone call about a contract, and I think if there's any other piece of preparation, Mike, that you could give people, for example, really quick, and I want to let you go. If someone is ready to go and visit a lawyer, or they're making appointments, what would you want them to bring? What are maybe the questions or the answers that they should be kind of ready to think about ahead of time, so they can be that much more effective with the lawyer's time?
Sure. The biggest ones are the name of your product or service or your company, so that we can check whether that's available. And if you can, go search it yourself. Go to uspto.gov and search the trademark systems to see if whatever you're coming up with, your name or your service, is available. So prepare. If you're going to have more than one owner, that's important to think about. And then money. Are you going to go to your friends and family for money? Or are you actually going to ask for money from a third party? And those things are important, because those will be the questions that are asked to know whether you need an LLC or an S corporation or something like that.
That's great, man. I really appreciate it. I know this was last minute, so I know this was just information sharing. I just wanted you to jump in real quick and help give some great tips. And according to the chat room, it looks like it really hit a home run with a lot of folks. So thanks a lot, Mike. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mary.
All right, take care. Thanks a lot. I also put up his link. He didn't ask me to. He didn't even want me to, but I put his link up. This wasn't a thing about trying to get anyone's business pushed out there. This was all about myself and my team saying, hey, this government shutdown is really hitting people hard. How can we quickly bring together some resources, tips, and advice without any strings attached to that to help you guys out? So I think we covered identifying your passion and then giving you tips on how you can do that. Many of you have been chatting about what that is. I hope some of you have been writing on a sheet of paper. If any of you are ready to come onto camera, I would love for you to say so and show me what you've written down. But I want to move into the next phase really quickly here, and that is how you can begin to monetize that passion. I think it really depends on a couple of things. Number one, it depends on what the passion is. But here's what I tell people often. Depending on what that passion is, it doesn't matter if people are already doing it and making money off of it or not. The bottom line is, if you can only think of one way or maybe 2 ways to make money off of the passion that you have, or off of that hobby that you have, or that interest that you have, you're not thinking hard enough. You're not pushing yourself hard enough. You have to have at least, and this is my opinion, but this is what has made us successful, at least more than 3. I mean, at least 3, but more than 3 would be great. Sometimes that can be too many ways of generating revenue. But you have to know at least 3 legitimate ways that you can raise revenue for your company. So I'll put ours out there really quickly as an example. Number 1, as a person in media, I can get paid by having a contract with a company. That company could be a media network. Same thing you could get paid by a company to develop a website. Well, being a website developer shouldn't be just the only way you make revenue. It can't just be, I make websites. You understand what I mean? It has to be more than that. If you want to be a consultant, it can't just be, let me go and find clients to go and consult. That's just one revenue generator. You could be doing public speaking, and that could be paying you money. You could be writing articles on the web. You could be partnering with other companies that have products that you don't need to build or create, but you bring a certain expertise to their company, and so now you guys are going to work together and partner up and create new revenue opportunities. The point is, one way is the easiest way in my mind to not be able to sustain long term or really grow your business to the height that you hope to grow your passion to. A lot of people also get caught up on this. Before they want to launch, they want to raise money. Everybody thinks, I have to raise money to pursue my passion. I got to raise money to build the business. That's not true. We didn't do that. We didn't do any of that. All we did is worked our butts off. We worked our tails off at building a brand and being known for a certain level of expertise in a particular area. And then we started looking at all the different ways, all the spokes of how you can. I should have thought this out. I have a diagram in my office. I should have brought it, but basically, you know, it was like we put ourselves in the center and we started looking at all the different revenue opportunities that we could build around the nucleus of the center. And so, with that being said, we were easily able to figure out that we could raise money by doing work, not needing to raise money to create the work. You understand the difference? Like if you want to develop an app, do you really need to go and find money to develop the app? You don't really need to do that. That shouldn't be the only route that you decide to take. A couple of quick ideas on that. Number 1, you could look at finding someone that would sponsor the app. So many people forget about this. Who else would, what company or what organization or who do you know that might have an interest in seeing that app be successful or want to connect themselves to that app? Obviously, you could go to the crowdfunding route. You have more opportunities these days to use sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and others to really pursue some of these ideas as well. The point is, have more than one. I don't have the time in this particular session to dig deep into how you peel back those layers. That's not the purpose of this session. The purpose of this one is to just quickly give you these ideas and then try to answer your questions. So have more than 3 revenue generating streams. And then quickly, I want to jump to one last interview with Shai, who is our editor for our site. He oversees everything that we do online. He also builds websites, but he knows programming. And I wanted to bring him on really quickly just to give you the basics on what you need to establish an online presence. Because I do firmly believe that if you're serious about pursuing a hobby, you need to start building your brand. And that starts with letting people know what you're about. And part of that easy first step is to build a website that promotes that. So let me put Shai on screen real quick.
Hey.
Hey, Shai, good to see you, man. So really quick.
See you too, man.
What are your number 1 tips for getting a website started? People don't have a lot of money. You know, people see a lot of things online in terms of maybe using the hosting provider that they just got their domain name with, and they want to use that and build a 5-page website. What do you see as the easiest cost-effective way to get an online presence started?
I think the easiest way right now is probably like taking an existing platform that's already out there. There's stuff like Spreecast, there's stuff like Squarespace. You pay them $7 a month. They give you the templates, and you just plug in the info, and they're already ready to go for a wide variety of businesses: restaurants, service, B2B, B2C. You can just plug in the info. But any kind of pre-made platform, we run our own site, Mario Armstrong Media, on WordPress. WordPress is pretty easy to install and to go ahead and populate, and it offers you a lot of flexibility with plugins, and totally free so long as you buy the domain and have hosting. But the other thing is, it's not just the website, right? You've got to be on Google Maps. You've got to be on Yelp. You've got to be on Angie's List if you're in some kind of like service industry. There's a lot of other places where you can go and list your business, list your website for free without having to pay the upfront cost of buying a website. But the last thing I'll say is that websites don't have to be expensive. A domain name for 1 year can be about $10. You add Squarespace on top of that, that's $7 a month. Talking less than $100 a year to have a professional looking website. It's pretty good, and it's easy to do. Got anything else, Mario?
I think those were the major things I just really wanted to kind of, point people out to. And I think the other thing maybe, because I was trying to pay attention to the chat room as well, but maybe also making sure that whatever site you're going to use, that you make sure it's like prepared for mobile.
Yeah.
Or whatever service you're going to use, that it's prepared to make it easy for people to pull it up on mobile.
I'll leave
But yeah, man, I think that's the.
It's free to be on Twitter. It's free to be on Facebook. It's free to be on Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, SocialCam. You can host your own Spreecast. There's tons of ways to promote your business for free.
Yeah, no, this is true. I know a lot of people that use Tumblr as a beginning spot, like because you can incorporate so many different pieces of media into Tumblr, into that one page. It starts to really build and kind of define who you are and what you're about by what videos you share or what images you upload or what text you're writing. So yeah, that's great advice, man. Really appreciate that.
All right, thanks everyone.
Cool, thanks for that, Shai. All right, real quick, I want to jump in and start answering some questions. We have like 2 minutes, and I had a feeling that this was going to run quick, and I wanted to set it at a half an hour on purpose. I wanted to A, test it to see if it was really of any value to you guys, and then B, see if we should be doing more frequent series around this to bring in other experts and to really start to dig deep into some of these other areas. I think before I jump in on the questions, I just want to leave you guys with something to think about mentally. I think in order to be successful, in order for you to grow personally, you have to break free of a lot of what mentally holds you back. And in order to do that, I think you have to start being willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations so that you can actually grow. So if you have been hesitating to pick up the phone and call a particular company that you think would benefit from your service or benefit from you individually, stop waiting. Just whatever's been holding you back, just pick up the phone and call. Like just break through some of these barriers. Do it one step at a time so that it's not overwhelming. Break down your vision, your passion into very small steps. What are you going to get done this week? Like it's just researching about setting up my business, what I want to just get done this week. Don't overwhelm yourself. You can't eat the whole thing at once. You'll overwhelm yourself and you won't get the direction that you need to go in. So let's go right to the chat room unless people want to go on camera. Let's see, we're going to try, let's see, Milton. Let's try Milton. Hey, Milton, welcome to Government Shutdown, Time to Start Up. How you doing, man? I'm not getting your audio. Yeah, double check that you're not muted and that you're in the little settings box that your audio is actually being picked up. By the way, I love the picture behind you. Yeah, we can't hear you right now. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. See if you can get that straightened out. We'll come back to you in a second. Let's go to the chat room and let's see if we have any specific questions that you guys may have for me. Also, even though we're going to be ending this in the next minute or two, I will continue to be on Twitter and Facebook while I'm running to my next appointment to help you guys. One of my favorite friends is also on the line. I want to give her a special shout out. That's Kanika Tolber. She's one of those types that's actually working in the government, but also pursuing her passion. She's got a great book that's easy to read that I think all of you should read. Kanika, if you get a chance, drop that into the chat room, the link to your book. It's an easy read, and I think it will provide a lot of inspiration to others as well. All right, I want to go in here and just really quick. Does anybody have any quick questions they want to ask me directly before we close up shop? I love Julius's point. Reduce your stress and just focus on finding your first client. This is important. Focus is so critical. As an entrepreneur and just starting out, your ideas are going to be huge. And so what I challenge you to do is this. Again, I'm back to writing stuff down on a sheet of paper. Write down all of your ideas. I also use Evernote on my phone. So download the Evernote app. It's free. Whenever you have an idea, it's great for holding and hosting your ideas in folders so you can separate. I have ideas for TV shows. I have ideas for speaking tours. I have ideas for our youth engagement, youth products that we do. So I have folders for all these different demographics and projects that are categorized in Evernote. So at any given time, I can just, if I have an idea that comes to me, get it off your mind is my point. Like Julius's point is focus, focus, focus. So you have to take that huge funnel of all these great ideas and really hone in on one. But it won't work unless you get that energy off your chest. If you're walking around with all this stuff in your head, it's too much energy. You have all these ideas in your head. It's too much going on. You're trying to do too many things at once. It's going to be hard to focus. So I say pour that stuff out. Get it out. Write it down. Put it in an app. Just get it off your brain. So now you can now say, okay, it's saved. I got it. I know what my ideas are. I have a place where they always are. I can go to that. Now let me focus on the one thing I need to accomplish right now and just go all in on that. I mean, nothing separates us from people like Tyler Perry, who slept in his car, who tried to produce a play for 5 years and no one showed up. And now he's like #2 on the Forbes list, if not closing in on #1. So we're all human. It's just a matter of execution, having the right mentality, and then being smart about setting up your infrastructure. My last quick tip, and then I really do want to take some questions really fast. My last quick tip is outsource. Stop trying to do everything your damn self. You don't have to be the captain and the queen and the king of your ship. Understand what your vision is. Understand what your strengths are, and write down your weaknesses. I don't know about you, I'm not getting younger. I don't have time to work on my weaknesses. That's something we tell kids. That's something we tell people as they're growing up. Work on that left-hand jump shot. You'll get better at it. You'll get better at it. I'm not in the NBA. I'm not trying to pursue the NBA anymore. I don't need to work on that left-hand jumper. I'm good with my right. Let me make sure I can make every single shot with my right at this stage in the game. So my point is, don't get caught up on trying to make work on your weaknesses. No, use that energy to go harder on your strengths and then hire or work with people that have your weaknesses as their strengths. Outsource stuff to your family. Let your family know what you're trying to do with this business. If you need them to pick up the groceries, ask them to do it. Pay them a little bit of money each week to do the groceries. If you need someone to run through the cleaners for you, do that. If you can, have someone clean your house. If you can afford it, get some kid to do the lawn. Like, go through your week and look at the most redundant tasks. Maybe it's picking up kids. Maybe it's running to the grocery store, running to the laundromat. Whatever those errands are, identify at least 2 errands that you can get off your plate. Like, you have to make time for yourself, especially if you're trying to put food on the table, work a day job, or at least get some income coming in while you're building the business. You have to create more time. And I think people don't reinvest in this enough. They want to make a little bit of money, take that profit, and then use that money to do something else with. The first thing we did with money is hire people. And people were like, but you don't have enough money yet in your savings. What? The first thing we knew we needed to do was get to scale. And the only way you can get to scale is if you can have other people on your team or other people that you can outsource stuff to. So last but not least, let's go here and let's see. Any quick questions? And then I got to wrap it. I need a personal driver. Inside joke with Kanika there. Question, when do I increase my price? I heard after 5 gigs. What are your thoughts? Great question. So on this one, here's the bottom line with, I assume it depends on what these gigs are, but it really doesn't matter. It's like, when do I increase my price? There's no rhyme or reason to when, there's no, I think, you know, after 5 gigs is ridiculous. If you are sharp and you're an expert in your area and you know what you're doing is delivering results and you can prove those results, like you've done, like when I used to do public speaking, I would go in with a survey. Like when I was first starting out, I was doing public speaking for free. I was going in with a survey, and I would read these surveys after my free speech to find out how I could perfect myself. And if I'm getting a bunch of 10s and there's a few areas I need to work on, I'm like, well, I don't need to keep doing this for free. I need to work on these areas and start charging. So I think you have to know your level of expertise, but ultimately you have to know what type of impact you're having. If you're having a legit impact that you can actually measure and prove, then it's time to start to increase your payment for those services. The other way to do it is to get bigger name clients. Try to score someone big. Even if you score them on the pro bono, doesn't matter. If you want to start to raise your visibility, to raise your fees, do something that raises your visibility. So they don't need to know that you worked for Coca-Cola or for a big brand for free and delivered something for them for free. All they need to know is that you did work with that big brand. And that big brand hired you, regardless, free or not, they still hired you. So now that gives you a little bit more weight to be able to charge more money. I hope that helps you out, but don't shoot yourself short. Don't shoot yourself short. All right, we're going to take this to Twitter, folks. If you guys really like this, you can keep having conversations in the chat room. Many of you are experts yourselves in the chat room, so keep sharing resources. Shai, put in the links that we have for people. We've put together some links on our website as well for additional resources for you. Hit me up on Twitter right now. I'm getting ready to take a 25-minute drive to my next appointment. I'm at Mario Armstrong on Twitter, at Mario Armstrong. The hashtag for this session is Dream Create Go. Hashtag Dream Create Go. Please pump that out for us. And if you really benefited from this and would like us to do more of these sessions where we can dig deeper and give you even more substantial next steps, let us know that too. I knew this was going to be kind of a quick icing on the cake, but I'd love to start to dig into the real ingredients that can hopefully change your lives and help you pursue your passions and make money doing it. All right, I'm gone, people. I love you guys so much. For all of you that are affected by this government shutdown, hang in there. Try to remain to be positive. I know this is a tough time, but if you're dealing with some downtime right now, put it to use. Try to really maximize that. And if there's anything I can do to help you along the way, let me know with just an email or a tweet away. All right? Okay, guys, I'll see you soon. And I appreciate everyone taking the time out to be on this webinar. Thanks so much. It's Spreecast. Thank you so much for being the most